Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. And although you can't see me because I'm on the avatar tonight, which I'm sorry about, but I've got a bit of a headache tonight. Anyway, it's Vicky Marie with a cup of tea, but you can't see me with my cup of tea. But cheers. Hope you're having a great Saturday. Hope you haven't got a headache like I have. Anyway, I have got a headache, but I didn't want to let people down. I'd planned the live, and I thought, well, I'm going to do it anyway, but I'll just be on the avatar. So because also the other reason that I just wanted to do this live as well is this is I've been sort of looking for an opportunity, if you like, to do this, to cover this story. It's very, very important. But of course, there's always different news to cover. There's always something happening. I don't even get around to covering sort of older cases now because there's always something going on. But this case is very, very interesting. And I think it will be interesting, especially to those of you like me who have got young adult children, because what this case is about is a landmark ruling in America where for the first time ever a parent has been found guilty of almost allowing their child, or has been found guilty of the implications of not stopping, let's say, their child do something. So they're not guilty of murder. This is a case about a shooting at a school. So these parents, their son shot and killed 4 people at his school, and now the mother has just been found guilty of not preventing this. Basically, that's, I suppose, what you could say. Not preventing him from doing it. And I'm really torn with this. So because, anyone who has teenage children will know, or has had teenage children will know, it gets to a point where you really do not know what your child is doing, thinking, who they're mixing with. You might think you do, but you don't. And anyone who thinks they do, believe me, you really don't. Because when they leave your door, or when and now they don't even have to leave the door because they're on the internet chatting to each other. Look at the recent case of Brianna Gay and the 2 teenagers that murdered her. They were texting each other, planning this murder for a long time before it happened. So now under these circumstances that have just happened in America, the parents of those teenagers could be tried for not stopping them. Basically, they could be tried for not stopping them murder Brianna J. So, what do we think about this? Can you stop your teenager or young adult from doing something? And should you be held responsible? Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So I think it's a very important subject, and this is a landmark case. So this mother has just been found guilty, and the father will be on trial soon. One thing I will say is I hope the father's found guilty as well, because it would seem very unfair for the mother to be found guilty and not the father as well, or vice versa. Anyway, let's look at the case first, and then we can talk about the reasons. There's some reasons where I think, yes, I can see how they could be found guilty. For example, these particular parents did buy him, their son, a gun. That to me, you just think, for all I've been through with my son, like everybody's been through with their young adults, children, I never bought him a gun. And in fact, a friend of mine bought him a BB gun, and that soon went out in the bin, because I would never do that. Even a BB gun, I don't, I didn't want to encourage him to be violent. So anyway, let's have a look. Let's just have a look first of all at what happened. So this is Ethan, the young boy. He's 15 years old. Ethan Crumbley. And Jennifer is the mother in the middle, and James is the father here on the right. And they are the first parents to ever been charged in a mass school shooting committed by their child. Whereas Ethan himself, he was 15, I think, when he actually committed the crime, he is serving a life sentence currently in prison. So the actual event, the actual shooting took place in 2021. Ethan Crumbley, he drew violent pictures. He was at school and he made a drawing of a gun, a bullet and a wounded man on his high school maths assignment. And he wrote on the page, "Blood everywhere. The thoughts won't stop. Help me." So this was something he drew under a geometry exercise. Now, he was at school at the time. He was at high school, actually in school, and the teachers saw this drawing that he made, and they called the parents, and Jennifer went into the school. So they called his parents. They came into the school. I don't know if they both came into the school or not, but they did not take him home. And on that same day, 4 hours later, Ethan took out his gun that his parents had bought him and killed four students at that school. Shot and killed 4 students. So this was all on the same day. So personally, I hope the school gets a bit held to account on this, because the school had seen this picture. Here it is. This is the picture that he'd drawn on his geometry exercise book. The thoughts won't stop. Help me. Blood everywhere. Picture of a man with a gun. Well, why didn't they phone the police or mental health services, as well as his parents? So apparently, anyway, they rang his parents. His parents came into the school. And just a few hours later, now you'll see some of the videos that we're going to look at where his mother's talking. She says in her defense, which was not successful because she has been found guilty, she said the school, if the school would have told her to take him home, she would have taken him home. She said she sat with the school, she talked to him, and it was decided between them all not to take him home. So he didn't want to go home. The school did not say he had to go home. So I think what she was saying in her own defense is, it was a joint decision. It wasn't only her decision not to take him home. And then just a few hours later, Ethan pulled a handgun from his backpack and shot 4 of his classmates dead. Oh, while also wounding 6 others and a teacher. And the gun that he used was a 9mm Sig Sauer that his father had taken him to buy just 4 days earlier. And his mother had had him practice using at a shooting range. So this is the one time where I do feel, in this case, as far as the buying of the gun is concerned, the parents are responsible. When do you take a depressed, because they knew he was depressed by then, so is that what you do with a depressed 15-year-old? Oh, I know what we'll do to cheer you up. Let's go and buy you a gun. apart from the fact he could go and shoot people like he did, kill other people, he could have killed himself. What are you doing buying a 15-year-old a gun? That is one thing I must say I just do think they are liable for, and they should be held accountable for. By a depressed, because they knew he was depressed, they knew he had some problems. There's not many 15-year-olds who don't have some mental health problems, to be honest, I think. It's just sort of part of growing up in a way, isn't it? There's not many 15-year-olds sail through adolescence. So they had a depressed 15-year-old, and they took him and bought him a gun. And then his mum, so his father took him to buy the gun, so he's liable, I think. And then his mother took him to practice using it at shooting range. Do you feel like you're in some parallel universe as we're talking about this? Anyway, let me just say hello to everyone, because I've just realised I haven't said hello to everybody. I hope you're all having a great Saturday. Here's a lesson to be learned. Don't go and buy your 15-year-old a gun. Hi, Nick. Hi, Chumba. Hi, David. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Susan. Hi, Amethyst. Hi, Tina. Hi, Rio. I am having a good day. In fact, I've had a lovely day, but I've just got a bit, because I had a nap and I've not long since woke up, and I've woke up with a headache. Hi, Julie. Hi, Charlie. Hi, Claire. Hi, Heather. It is an important discussion, Charlie, I think. Yeah. Now, of course, I think what I have to remember as well is I don't live in America. In America, people have guns and it's more of a common thing. But if there's any of my American chatters come on, please let me know. What do you think? Is it a common thing to buy your 15-year-old depressed son a gun? I don't know. It just seems I would be worrying that they would do something to themselves as much as anything. Hi, Katrina. I'm glad you're here. Hope you're feeling well. Okay, so yeah, it seems odd to us then, because if you're in Britain, that just seems ridiculous. You just can't be like buying them a machete, wouldn't it? You go out and buy them a machete. Oh, here you go, you're 15 and you're suicidal or you're depressed. I know, we'll buy you a machete. Anyway, so Ethan now is serving a life sentence. You can't help but feel a little bit sorry for him, even though he's 15 and he's done a terrible thing. Of course he has, killing 4 of his fellow students. But he did, it seems like it could have been avoided if somebody would have listened to the fact that he wrote "help me" on what more can you do but write "help me" on your geometry exercise. He was crying out for help. And nobody listened to him. So, I do feel a little bit of sympathy for Ethan as well, because of his age and for the fact that he was begging for help. So he's serving a life sentence in prison. He pleaded guilty to terrorism and first-degree murder in December. So he's serving. He's pled guilty. He's serving a life sentence. I don't know if it's a life sentence. Like sometimes in America it is life means life, or is it life like we do in the UK, which means 20 years, in which case he'd only be 37 when he was out. So anyway, just in the past couple of days, his mother, Jennifer, so now has been convicted of 4 involuntary manslaughter charges. So for the 4 students that Ethan murdered, his mother has been charged with their involuntary manslaughter. And this is the first American prosecution of a parent in connection to a mass school shooting by their child. So her husband, James, so this doesn't look good for James. And I've got to say, if James isn't found guilty, I would be fuming, because if they blame it all on the mother, mothers tend to get blamed for everything and the fathers get away with it. That's how it always feels to me. But her husband, James, he has been charged with involuntary manslaughter also. So he stands trial next month. Now, doesn't look too good for him, does it? After what's happened with Jennifer, she's been found guilty. We don't know what her sentence will be yet. And I suppose you could say, well, Jennifer didn't actually do anything. She didn't kill anybody. But it was found at the trial that she was guilty. And to me, the main reason why she would be found guilty is the fact that, between them, her and her husband bought Ethan a gun. Even though she didn't actually go along to buy the gun, she did then take Ethan to practice using the gun. So what does this mean for, future ramifications for other parents, etc.? Does it pave the way for other parents to be held responsible for their child's actions? Should you be held responsible for what your teenage child does, boy or girl? Because plenty of teenage girls do bad things. So let's have a look at why she was found responsible. So although she did not pull the trigger, she was held responsible for not safely securing the gun and ammunition at home, as well as failing to seek support for her son's mental health. So prosecutors said that the 45-year-old mother had a duty under Michigan law to prevent her teenage son from harming others. So this is a still from the video that was played in court of Jennifer and her son at a shooting range on November the 27th. So I think it was December when it actually happened. So outside the courthouse, the jury forewoman said that the guilty, and we're going to have a look at a video of that, the guilty verdict was influenced by evidence that Jennifer Crumbley was the last adult to actually possess the gun. So she had it in her possession and she did not safeguard it. That really hammered at home, she said, while declining to give her name. So the jury was shown video images during the trial of Jennifer Crumbley leaving the shooting range with the gun in a box. So this is what she was asked at court. You saw your son shoot the last practice round before the school shooting on November the 30th. You saw how he stood. He knew how to use the gun. Yes, he did, Jennifer Crumbley replied. And look at this from his journal as well. This was another exhibit from Ethan's journal. I have zero help for my mental problems and it's causing me to shoot up the fucking school. So now, she may not have got to see this. So his journal was, private. But he did say that his parents weren't listening to his pleas for help. However, her lawyer, Shannon Smith, argued there were no real warning signs that he would kill his classmates and that the crimes were unforeseeable. Can every parent really be responsible for everything that their children do? So I personally agree with that. I don't think they can, but I think if you buy them a gun, maybe that is, you can be held responsible for that, because if he hadn't been bought a gun, he couldn't buy a gun himself. He's 15 years old. So if they hadn't bought him that gun and if they had secured it properly where he couldn't get to it, it wouldn't have happened. So that is the thing that I don't believe she's responsible for it in other ways. But in that way of just buying a gun, taking him for shooting lessons, not safeguarding where the gun was, then yes. Anyway, Anyway, she testified in her own defence, Jennifer, and she said her son had been anxious about being accepted into college, what he would do with his life, but she did not think his problems merited seeing a psychiatrist. We would talk. We did a lot of things together, she said. I trusted him and I felt I had an open door. He could come to me about anything. So this was in the court. So that's the lawyer. It's not looking very good when your lawyer is practically got the lying down with the head in the hands, is it? So that it doesn't look good. Anyway, this apparently was while the actual surveillance video was displayed showing the shooting. Anyway, in a journal found by police, Ethan wrote that his parents would not listen to his pleas for help. School officials insisted so then the school themselves, so of course they kept him there at the school that day, even though he'd written that thing on his maths pad, if you like, saying please help me, etc. The school did not insist that he went home or insist that the police were called or any mental health professionals were called. But what the schools say is if they knew he had a gun, they would have done something. But they did not search his bag either. So the school did not search his bag when this all came to light. I mean, you do feel like it could have been prevented, don't you? There he is. He's actually written down on paper what he's going to do. He's asked for help me. And nobody's done anything about it. It's just been left there. And 4 hours later, he's gone and done what he'd literally drew that he was going to do. Yeah. So the prosecutor said he literally drew a picture of what he was going to do. It says, help me. So what ramifications could this ruling have? Now, some people are happy about it, other people aren't. Some people, like this guy, the professor of law at the University of Michigan, he says it sets a contentious precedent for holding parents accountable for their child's wrongdoings. You've given prosecutors a new tool, he says. So for many other parents, there's going to be a worry, even in cases less extraordinary, where the parent is trying to keep their son out of trouble, maybe gang behaviour, maybe struggling with drugs and alcohol. The question is exactly where will the law draw the line? Because, teenagers do things that they shouldn't do, not normally as dramatic as this, like murdering people, but, shoplifting, smoking drugs, drinking alcohol. Teenagers do things like that. So how responsible should the parents be? Let's just have a look at this.
Professor, convicting a mother of involuntary manslaughter, this was a test case and it has resulted in a guilty verdict.
Yeah, it's really quite remarkable. It's really that the facts of this case were so damning. They were so difficult. They were so hard for us all to hear. But even though we knew that these were really difficult facts where a mother had bought her son the gun, she had known that he was researching ammunition, she had joked with him about it. Indeed, she'd even been called to the school the very day of the shooting and asked if she wanted to take her son home and left without telling the school officials that he had a gun on him. So these were difficult facts. And my colleagues and I all thought it could go either way. Even then, when the verdict actually came out, you couldn't help but to be surprised that the basic legal principle that you're not responsible for others was just pushed too far here.
What ramifications do you think this will have?
The law lives on precedent. And so while there's a kind of, again, bedrock principle that we teach all law students at the very beginning, now you've given prosecutors a new tool, a tool that they're going to be able to say, look, if the case is calls enough, if the case pushes us enough, we will go to trial for this. And that means certainly, for example, for her husband, he's now facing a real uphill battle. It'll be a different jury, but he certainly can understand the kind of danger he's in. But for many other parents, there's going to be a worry that even in cases less extraordinary, the parent who's trying to keep their son out of trouble, out of maybe gang behavior, maybe struggling with drugs and alcohol and goes for a joyride. The question is, where exactly will the law draw the line? And what ambitious prosecutor will tell them, if you don't agree to a plea bargain, I will try this case and send you to prison for much longer.
Now, as you say, this was described as a test case, but has there been a general push to hold parents responsible? Have there been lesser charges and convictions on this front?
We have seen some cases where parents are held responsible for their direct negligence, but it is quite a different step to hold parents responsible, not for their negligence, but for what their son does or for what their child does. So that's really one might say a more.
Yeah, I think that's important what he said, because it's one thing to hold parents responsible and say they've been negligent, and that is a criminal offence, isn't it? Being a negligent parent, you can go to court and be prosecuted for it. But this is different. This is holding parents responsible for what their child then goes on to do, and well, really, then you'd think that anyone who's done anything that they've been charged for and gone to prison for, what you're going to do, get their parents and say, oh, well, it was your fault, if they're under the age of 16. It'd be like if you think of the Jamie Bulger case, are you going to hold their parents responsible for what their children did, that awful thing that their children did? I think it's a little bit strange. But anyway, there's more to come with this, because they also pulled apart the mother, who we just saw that she was having an affair. They said she was, of course, she would definitely get most of the blame. You can, if the father gets away with it, it would be awful, because they pulled her apart because she'd had an affair. They said, she was too concerned about the affair she was having. She wasn't concerned enough about her child, and I don't know if that's really true. And even if it was, how does that lead to, how many kids, their parents, some parents, just are so negligent towards their children, they pay them no attention whatsoever, and their kids don't go on to do things like that. So there's more to it in my eyes. Not all children who are depressed go on to shoot up a school, do they?
Extraordinary step forward. There have been some smaller cases where the parents have pled guilty, and so those cases don't attract nearly as much attention. And frankly, in our past, we've had moments where parents have been held liable, for example, for their children not coming to school. But those experiments typically disappeared under the weight of social pressure, under the weight of community pressure, and under the concern that they were often applied in racialized ways, harming Black families at a much higher rate.
Now, this was contentious, that's clear to see, but that was even seen within the prosecutor's office, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, these kind of cases where the law moves means that we are, in some real sense, going against our legal instincts. On the one hand, as I said, the facts were hard enough that I understand why a prosecutor would want to try it. I mean, I have children too, and it's terrifying when we drop them off to school. We think they're safe. On the other hand, there's this kind of moral.
I just think it must be terrifying sending your kids to school in America. There's so many incidences, isn't there, in America, of school shootings? I mean, there's just one after another, aren't they? And that I don't think we have that the same in the UK. But schools are scary because children get bullied at school, and in the UK, there's a lot of knife crime, isn't there? So not so much gun crime, but the knives are rife. God, it is terrifying sending your child off to school. How horrible is that? That every day that when you send your child off to school, you don't know if you're going to see him again, for God's sake.
Intuition that at some point you can't be responsible for somebody else's behavior. And I think both in society, but also in a prosecutor's office, people are going to be really torn about that. Even my friends and colleagues and I had robust arguments about which way this case would go.
Do you think the case gives any more clear an answer as to at what point a child's behaviour is your responsibility and at what point it no longer is?
Yeah, I think these are going to be difficult lines to draw, right? One easy and clear line would have always been when the child hits the age of majority, when they're 18. But of course, again, the law lives by analogy, and our hunger to punish has meant that we are increasingly punishing younger and younger people. So if not 18, if 18, why not 17? If 17, why not 16? In this case, Crumbley was 15 when he conducted the shootings. And so, as with all things legal, we'll see prosecutors push it ever one step more.
Professor Janke,
Okay, so I think it's a really difficult case, it's difficult to think about. Anyway, we're going to have a look at some videos. Put that down. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, Charlie. We had the Dunblane shootings at the school, didn't we, in Scotland? And then guns were banned. There was action taken, wasn't there? I do think there's a fundamental thing here, like you're saying there, Amethyst. If you know that your child is not well mentally, you do not buy them a gun. That is not the answer. Buy them a puppy, or buy them, take them on a nice holiday or something. But you do not buy them a gun. That is not the answer when, your child is depressed, is it, at the end of the day? Surely that is obvious. It does seem a surprise that they did that. But anyway, let's have a look at this video.
We find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Jennifer Crumbley was still given the opportunity to prevent these murders from ever happening. Instead, she chose to do nothing.
Jennifer Crumbley did the best she could as a mother and had no way to know what was going to happen.
Reading the journal, were there passages in there indicative of requests for mental health help?
Yes. The shooter writes, I have zero help, as you can see on the whole, for my mental problems, and it's causing me to shoot up school.
Did you ever believe that your son needed mental health treatment, therapy, counseling, anything?
No, not to a level where I felt he needed to go see a psychiatrist or a mental health professional right away, no. We didn't just hand him a gun as a, here you go, son. It was something he could use. And we went to the range as a family together. I've asked myself if I would have done anything differently, and I wouldn't have.
If you could change what happened, would you?
Well, she's saying she wouldn't have done anything differently. And when she said that, or we went to the range as a family, is that what you do on a family day out in America? Oh, what will we do this Sunday? Oh, no, we won't go to the zoo. We won't go to the park. We'll go to the shooting range. Is that what you do in America for a family day out?
Oh, absolutely. I wish he would have killed us instead.
Okay. Right. So I just want to show you some of the videos of the court. Yeah, I think. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, so it was televised. The whole court case was televised. I just still, I expect a gun's quite expensive, is it? You know, surely they could have gone on a nice family holiday or something. Just seems strange to buy a gun. Why?
On count 1 of involuntary manslaughter as to Madison Baldwin, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. On count 2 of involuntary manslaughter in regards to Tate Muir, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. On count 3 as to involuntary manslaughter regarding Hannah St. Juliana, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter. And in count 4 of involuntary manslaughter against Justin Schilling, we find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Thank you, Forewoman. You can be seated, and I'm going to close the jury.
Jury seat number 1, was that and is that your verdict?
It is.
Jury seat number 2, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 3, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 5, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 6, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 7, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 8, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 11, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 12, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 13, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 14, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes.
Jury seat number 16, was that and is that your verdict?
Yes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We all know that this is one of the hardest things we've ever done.
Okay, so what I want to have a look at next then is some of the parents' reaction, the parents of the children who were killed. Let's have a look at their reaction.
Death that might have been prevented. She now faces up to 15 years in prison.
We have team coverage of the decision and its impact. Let's begin with.
So she might face up to 15 years in prison, which, when you think about it, some of the cases that we've looked at in the UK, where for actually, you know, stabbing someone, like it with Brianna J, they received 20 years and 22 years. She might receive 15 years in prison for not actually murdering anybody. So what do you make of that? I don't know what I make of that.
The 7 Action News reporter, Ruta Olsenaida, and what parents of the victims are saying tonight.
The eyes of the nation have been on this trial, but it's important to remember why we're here. We're here because 4 young students lost their lives a little over 2 years ago now, and the parents of these victims want you to remember that.
We find the defendant guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
After 11 hours of deliberations, Jennifer Crumbley was found guilty Tuesday on 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. 4 counts for the 4 lives lost at Oxford High School over 2 years ago. Tate Muir, Madison Baldwin, Hannah St. Juliana, and Justin Schilling had their lives callously taken by then 15-year-old Ethan Crumbley. Tonight, we heard from Steve St. Juliana, the father of lovable Hannah, Buck Muir, the father of athletic and sweet Tate Muir, and the father of kind-hearted Justin Schilling, Craig Schilling, who...
Yeah, because we mustn't forget the victims here, are we? Because I think the victims might get lost a bit in the whole sort of fact that this is a landmark case, etc., and the attention will be on Jennifer and Ethan and James, the father. But of course, we must not forget that 4 children died because of Ethan's actions, and really did die because he was bought. His parents bought him a gun. Because if his parents wouldn't have bought him that gun, he would not have been able to murder those children.
who all waited for this decision to come down.
For me, you know, I was, me and my wife were watching it together. And, you know, the first thing that popped in my head was the people spoke.
The trial focused on the shooter's mom, Jennifer Crumbley, and her role in ignoring major signs that her son needed help. Instead of providing that help, the parents provided their son a gun, even taking him to a shooting range 4 days before the tragedy.
They looked at the way that this family treated firearms and introduced firearms into that type of situation. And, you know, they realized that that's just not acceptable.
The jury foreperson after the trial telling us the shooting range trip had a lot to do with the jury's decision of guilty.
The thing that really hammered it home is that she was the last adult with the gun.
After Jennifer Crumbley was taken away in handcuffs, prosecutors embraced the families of victims who have been through so much these last few years, including Craig Schilling.
Gross negligence is not acceptable in society, and you know that the results of this moving forward, I hope resonates in the minds of everybody for a long time. And I just hope that you know it creates some type of a change with as it pertains to, you know, school shootings, these mass shootings and shootings in general.
These fathers leaning on one another during this difficult time as they continue on this difficult road.
For me, I don't know, this whole justice word is interesting to me. You know, our kids never coming home, so there's no justice that we're going to feel okay with, right?
That's very sad, isn't it? And it's true, because it's not, you know, it feels justice in one way, I suppose, but it's not going to bring their child back, is it? Whatever happens.
We are looking for more accountability, and specifically, you know, around the school and the school officials, because without the accountability, nothing changes.
Just a lot of heartbreak involved for the.
I do feel like the school has got some accountability here. I'm surprised that the school on in court as well, really, because they saw that and what he wrote. They perhaps should have insisted that he was removed from the school, because that was her claim, is that she would have took it if they would have told her to take him home. She would have taken him home. But after a general discussion, he didn't want to go home. The school didn't make her take him home. She had to get back to work, which, you know, there's no point in criticising her for that. You know, you have to work. You have to work. And, you know, in the joint decision that they all made together, Ethan, the school and her, she should not be the only one getting the blame for that. In my eyes, I'm not saying she was right. I'm just saying the school should have some accountability too. And they did not search his backpack, but then she did not tell them that he had availability of a gun. So there's sort of, I think they're all culpable in my eyes.
These families over the last 2 years. Now, meanwhile, Jennifer Crumbley, she faces up to 15 years behind bars, and she will be held on bond until her sentencing, which is scheduled for April. In Pontiac, I'm Ruta Olsinaida, 7 Action News.
So she's going to be
the mother of the Oxford high school shooter, guilty as charged in a precedent
sentenced in April. Right, let's have a look. So let's have a look at, this is Ethan's meltdown. Now, Ethan obviously did have a lot of mental health problems. Maybe his mum should have realised that. Maybe his parents should have realised that. Anyway, let's have a look. What this is Ethan as he was being interrogated. Hi, Wesley. This is Ethan as he was being interrogated. This is quite, if you've got young sort of teenagers and that, you may find this upsetting.
There are a few videos, but we have shortened them. This is sound, so I don't know if you can hear your staff. Just make sure the sound. Move to the next one.
It'll stop it. What I heard you stop it. Why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you stop it? I know she stopped it. Please stop 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 it. Why didn't you stop it, God? Why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you stop it, God? Why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you stop it? You let it happen. Why? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, please, God. I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, God. Stay home.
Now, I think, you know, I find this very, very upsetting, to be honest. But it's hard to believe that earlier his mother said that when they asked her if she felt he, you know, did she not notice that he had any problems? But she said, oh, not as much as he would need a psychiatrist. And then when you see him like this, you can't help but feel for him, because he's obviously got a lot of problems. I'd be interested to know if he was smoking weed, because, you know, young people that smoke weed, they have these psychoses and things. Maybe he wasn't, I don't know. Maybe he really wasn't, but surely he needed to be, you know, some mental health. He must have been showing some signs at home, you would think. But you know what? Sometimes you just don't know. You just don't know with teenagers. That, you know, they go, and you do think, oh well, you know, teenagers go through these funny stages, and you know, maybe she really truly didn't realise. But I personally find these quite upsetting, these videos of Ethan.
Stop it. You couldn't stop it, God, but you didn't stop it. And now we continue. Holy, stop it. Guys, stop it, please. Stop it, guys. Stop, God, stop. Stop. God, stop, please, God. Oh, stop it. Stop it. Stop. 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 God, stop. Stop it, please. God, yes, stop it. I did stop it. 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 Let's lay back. Let's lay back. It's all God. Please stop it. You didn't 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 stop it. Sit there. You didn't stop it. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. Stop.
I've got to say, I mean, there's not much more than a boy can do than actually write on his homework or whatever, help me, I'm going to kill somebody. I mean, what more can he do than that to try and get help, you know, if he knew. So he knew, he God, even if his parents didn't know before that he wrote at school on his homework and they got called into the school, God, it makes it seem like nothing now, things I got called into the school for about I bet there's not many people haven't been called into the school ever for their kids for one thing or another. No, but imagine getting called in and they say, oh, well, you know, your son's written this down that he's going to shoot up the school, help me. You know, and then you knowing that 4 days earlier you've actually bought him a gun. You know, so that does feel, doesn't it, like a bit like they are responsible, really. It's like if you hadn't just bought him a gun 4 days before, you might not think much of it. I don't know, but just that boy, you know, I do feel for him because he obviously isn't well mentally. And the thing is, what more can he do than actually write down on his maths book, help me, please help me. And nobody helped him. They just let him carry on as normal. Good God.
On count three, you're gonna sit down. 1, 2, 3.
I think that's the father of one of the victims there. He's crying. They must be sat there listening to this thinking, why was nothing done about this boy? Why was this boy not helped? And if this boy, if something could have been done when he actually said what he was going to do, our children would still be alive. Just ridiculous.
They called. You don't stop it. Why did you stop it? 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 Please stop it. 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 Why did you stop it? God, why? Why did you stop it? Why did you stop it, God? Why did you stop it? Why did you stop it? You let it out. Me.
So we witness a child in the throes of psychosis. Well, we just witnessed someone who's saying, God, why didn't you stop it? And that's exactly how psychosis works. You engage in an action and somehow you don't understand the outcome of the consequences. He's having a panic attack and a break with reality.
We also hear him saying you could have saved her.
That is correct.
In any part of that video, do you see Ethan being violent?
No, ma'am.
Are mental health issues perfect? I mean, he's obviously been on medication now for a period of time, and things like this obviously can still happen. What is your explanation to that?
So medications are not an exact science. There's different levels of titration. There are times when some medications work, and there are times when they don't always work, just like in the physical realm.
So it sounds like he actually was on some medication of some kind. Oh, I find it heartbreaking, the whole thing.
I want to move on to part.
All right, we have been listening in there to that Miller hearing for the Oxford High School shooter.
Anyway, so I think you can, you can say that his mental state was not good, so he should not have been bought a gun, really, isn't it? That's how it feels to me. Why did they buy him a gun? Just ridiculous. Why they would buy him a gun. So now, after sort of starting off thinking, I didn't know whether I thought it was right, I couldn't decide whether I thought it was right or not, if that this mother and then probably the father will be prosecuted now. After watching all that, I'm thinking, yes, they should, because you just, if your child is going through that sort of mental anguish, you don't buy them a gun. That's just one thing. I do think it's difficult to know what to do. I would agree with that 100%. Knowing what to do is really hard, but you know what not to do, and what you know what not to do is you don't buy them a gun. So just for the fact that they bought him a gun and they didn't keep it under proper control, I think that's probably what ended up with her being found guilty. That she didn't secure the gun. That juror said that the final thing that did it was that she'd been the last person seen in possession of the gun, after they'd been to the shooting range. So she should have made sure, that in my eyes, both her and her husband should have made sure, but their thinking was she was the last person seen in possession of the gun. So she should have made sure that the gun was safely put away where he could not, have access to it, and especially after what she saw at the school, and he had the gun. As they had that meeting in the headmaster's office, he had the gun in his rucksack. So he shot those children later on that same day. So that was the day that she'd been called into the school because of what he'd written in his algebra book. Please help me. Blood everywhere. Those drawings that he'd made. That's why she was called into the school, but she made no mention of the gun. She didn't ask him, and the school didn't check his rucksack, but they didn't know he had a gun at all. But she knew he had access to a gun. But maybe she should have insisted then, well, you haven't got that gun with you, have you? That's the first thing I'd be thinking is, well, where's the gun? But anyway, very, very sad. Very, very sad. Yeah, Claire, well, I'll tell you something, that boxing saved my son from problems that he had when he was a teenager. Boxing was a brilliant thing. He started boxing, and that was very good for his mental health. I think there's not many teenagers, I think we'll all know that either from our children or even from ourselves when we were teenagers. Most teenagers go through some sort of mental health crisis, I think, just part of growing up and that. But yeah, boxing, very good. Dear me. So it's a very sad story. So we'll see what happens. I'll let you know. Well, she's not being sentenced till April. So it's a little while. We've got to wait for the sentencing. But next month, it will be his trial. And he's got to be found guilty. Now, I'd be very annoyed if he wasn't found guilty. They're going to turn around and say, because he was, because I don't believe it's a joint thing between the father and the mother. The mother was having an affair. If they're going to hold her up for that, make her more guilty because of her private life in that sense. But it's not right to me. They're jointly guilty for the fact of buying him a gun when they knew he wasn't very well. Yeah. Oh gosh, Susan, I haven't even got around to that. So yeah, after the shooting, the parents went on the run. But they say they didn't get. Let's see if I can find that. I did read about that. They said they didn't go on the run, but they did. They disappeared and avoided the police. Let's see. Let's see if I can find the details. Let's see. You think that'd be easy to find, wouldn't you? But let's have a look at this. This is the body cam when they were in a hotel somewhere. Anyway, let's have a look at the video.
Ethan Crumbley, jurors were shown the moment the parents were arrested. There'd been a manhunt for the couple until they were found in the middle of the night hiding out in an artist studio.
Oh, an artist studio. How strange. Yeah, what did they do that for?
It's dramatic body cam video of a SWAT team arresting the parents of school shooter Ethan Crumbley. The video was played to the jury at the trial of Ethan Crumbley's mother. It's intended to show how the Crumbleys went on the run following the school shooting, hiding from cops in an artist studio owned by a friend. Jennifer Crumbley is lying on a mattress, apparently pretending to be asleep despite the chaos around her. Cops lift up the mattress they were using to search for weapons.
Pretending to be asleep? For goodness sake. So all that's happening around her and she's pretending to be asleep.
The jury was also shown desperate text messages Mom Jennifer sent her son the day of the massacre. Ethan, don't do it, she texted. Moments later, his father texted, Ethan, call me now. But their pleas came minutes too late to prevent the murders of 4 students. And there was bombshell testimony today when a firefighter claimed he had had an extramarital affair with Jennifer Crumbley.
You told police that you and Mrs. Crumbley had had an extramarital affair, correct?
Correct.
You told police from the very beginning your relationship with Mrs. Crumbley involved a sexual relationship, correct?
Right.
Jennifer Crumbley's appearance has changed dramatically since her arrest in 2021. This is how she looked when she met with school officials the day of the shooting. 2 years behind bars awaiting trial have taken a visible toll.
Both Jennifer Crumbley and her husband James.
Yeah, well, she has, hasn't she? She has changed. Goodness me, it's not agreeing with her, or it looks like maybe it's agreeing with her too much, or maybe it's the stress. But yeah, I'd forgotten about that. They went on the run, and also there were those text messages exchanged. So all that makes it all look even worse, doesn't it?
Pleaded not guilty to 4 charges of involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah. So anyway, be interesting to see what happens to the father. I do think David Shaw. I do think. Oh dear, at least you made me smile at the end of all that. I've cried through most of it. Now you've made me smile. Oh dearie. Oh God, It's a mad world, isn't it? It's a mad world. It's a crazy world. Anyway, so don't forget to send me. It just seems like a weird change of subject now, but don't forget to send me the Valentine's things. We've got Valentine's Day on Wednesday. So, gosh, thank God we have every now and again we have these like little parties and things. These Riley's coming to give me a cuddle. Hello, baby. Thank God we have these little fun nights every now and again. So the next one is Wednesday, isn't it? Don't forget to get your cocktails, your mocktails, or something nice ready, and send me anything to do with love. I've got some people have sent some lovely things, and of course there's all different aspects of love, aren't there? So we're gonna have some fun and talk about love and not about bloody I don't know, school shootings and stuff like that. We're going to have some fun as well, so it'll be tongue in cheek. I'm sure I'm sure there'll be some oh, my little dog is trembling. What's the matter, baby? I took they have little jackets in the winter because I worry that they'll get cold, but it's so nice in the daytime. And when we went out for a walk today, it was lovely and sunny, and I thought, oh, they'll be too hot in their little woolly jackets, so I took them off, but then I forgot to put it back on again, and he's trembling now. Oh, you're chilly, baby. I think he might be cold. Oh, I have to get his jacket back on him again. Oh, Charlie, it's Ash Wednesday, is it? So does that mean, is it Pancake Day on Tuesday? Get off. Sorry, the dog's jumping on me. Anyway, so we're going to have some fun on Wednesday, so don't forget, send anything like a poem or anything. It could be a jokey thing about love. It doesn't have to be serious. But I've got quite a lot of things that have been sent already, which is nice. So we'll have some fun. I wonder if I might show you some wombat things to finish off. I'm in love with wombats at the moment. They're just so funny. I follow this bloody wombat rescue thing, and the things that come up on it are so lovely. Let's have a look. There's a little right. Let's have a look at these wombats. Oh, my dogs are doing zoomies now around the room. It's wombats at
Finished.
You're like, wait, oh, more, I want some more. Oh, they're so cute.
You're such a sweetheart, eh?
He's a sweetheart. David, is that a bit like you when you've had your tea? Look at the feet. God, he needs a manicure, that's for sure. He needs to get some shellac on there.
You need to let go.
He won't let go of it.
I know. Let go, Spuddy. Oh, there we go. Good boy. You're such a good boy.
So cute. You can always rely on a wombat to cheer you up. Oh, Kelly, yeah, I've seen your staffies there. Staffies are like little fat wombats, aren't they? I never realised wombats were so cute. So I've decided I want a wombat. There's a lot of, I want a wombat, I want a baby kangaroo, and I want a baby goat. I must get a little farm or something so I can have all these cute animals. Hi, Maria. Hi, Bridget. Yeah, just like Wolverine, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I need a little farm so I can have all these animals. My dog's looking at me as if to say, well, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Hello, Rocky. Okay, right. Well, that's cheered me up now, seeing that wombat. I got quite upset before that one, but it's a very interesting thing. I'm sure you've all got thoughts on it, whether you think it's right that Ethan's parents, his mum so far has been found responsible for manslaughter and looking at maybe up to 15 years in prison for her son's actions. And it would be interesting to see what happens to her husband if he gets the same treatment. Yeah, that's it, Red Bull. I don't want a grown-up kangaroo. I just want a baby one, because the baby ones are so cute. But then, yeah, they get big and terrifying. Yeah, but they're cute when they were little. They're cute when they're little. Okay, that's me. I'm off, and actually my headache's gone, so that's good. I started off with a headache. I haven't got a headache now, and I haven't even had a tablet or anything. I've just had lots of water. So my son's always saying to me, I need to drink more water. I don't drink enough water. That's true. Stops you getting headaches, apparently, and it certainly worked. So anyway, thanks for being here with me. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video if you've liked it, of course. And if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. It's completely free. And I'll see you probably tomorrow. I'll see you soon anyway, whatever. And if we get any updates about Samantha, the lady who's gone missing in Australia, I'll let you know. Oh, let's just check Sky News, or if the guy from the acid attacks. I keep calling them acid attacks, but it wasn't acid, it was chemical attack they're referring to it. They're searching for his body, aren't they now? Hope they find it, to be honest. But no update. I've just checked on the news. But anyway, night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Now, remember to live and love very carefully, very wisely. Watch what your children are doing. And I will see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Thank you so much. I'm blowing a kiss, but of course I'm not on, you can't see me. But anyway, I will definitely be face on tomorrow. Bye.